The SOS that brought humanity's full-scale military response. Part 2. Admiral Susan Grant hurried through the long hallways beneath the Pentagon. The emergency alert had pulled her from a family dinner, and she was still trying to process the information coming in from the distant Viridian system. The underground command center was already filled with military and government officials when she arrived. Screens on the walls showed maps of space, ship movements, and data flowing in from the horizon. "What's the situation?" Susan asked as she took her place at the head of the table. General Frank Cooper, head of Earth's ground forces, stood up. "The diplomatic vessel Horizon has sent us disturbing news. The Althean colony in the Viridian system is under attack by the Krell Dominion. Captain Monroe has sent us visual confirmation." He pressed a button, and the main screen showed images of Althean cities burning. Dark ships moved through the skies, firing weapons at the surface. The room fell silent as they watched. "The Altheans are a peaceful species," Susan said. "They have almost no military. Why would the Krell attack them?" "The Krell believe that stronger species have the right to take from weaker ones," replied Dr. Karen Hayes, the chief expert on alien cultures. "They probably see the Altheans as easy targets. The Viridian system has valuable minerals and a good position for controlling trade routes." Susan nodded slowly. "And Captain Monroe? What is the Horizon doing now?" "They're moving closer to try to help some Althean survivors," General Cooper said. "But the Horizon is not a warship. It has limited weapons and shields. They'll be destroyed if they engage the Krell directly," Susan said, concern in her voice. The door to the command center opened, and President Olivia Reyes walked in. Everyone stood at attention. "Madam President," Susan greeted her. "Admiral Grant." The president nodded. "I've reviewed the initial reports. What are our options?" Susan took a deep breath. This was not a simple situation. The Altheans signed a trade and mutual defense agreement with us last year. They're counting on us for help. But the Krell are a significant military power, and the Viridian system is several days' travel from our nearest major fleet. "What would it take to help them?" the president asked. Susan looked at the tactical displays, quickly calculating in her head. "To be effective against a Krell invasion force? Nothing less than a full-scale military response. We would need to deploy multiple battle groups, ground forces, and support ships. That would be the largest military operation in human space history," General Cooper added. The president was quiet for a moment, thinking. "The Altheans have been good friends to humanity. Their medical technology has saved thousands of our people already, and they sent their distress call directly to us, trusting that we would help them." She looked around the room at her advisors. "What happens if we do nothing?" Dr. Hayes answered, her voice sad. "Based on what we know of the Krell, they will likely kill most of the Altheans or use them as forced labor. Their culture and knowledge will be lost." The president's face hardened. "That is unacceptable. Admiral Grant, you have my authorization for a full military response. Save those people." Susan stood straighter. "Yes, Madam President." Within minutes, emergency protocols were activated across Earth and all human colonies. Messages went out to all military bases and ships. Reserve soldiers were called to duty. Factories switched to making more weapons and supplies. Susan worked quickly from the command center, coordinating the massive operation. Ships that had been in maintenance were rushed back into service. Training exercises were canceled as those ships and crews were redirected to the Viridian system. "Admiral," called out Commander Ben Howard, her chief of staff. "The first response group is ready. 5 warships led by the carrier Destiny under Captain Samantha Powell." "Send them immediately," Susan ordered. "Tell Captain Powell to get there as fast as possible and protect the Horizon and any Althean survivors. The main fleet will follow as soon as we can gather enough ships." "Yes, Admiral." As the first ships departed for the Viridian system, Susan studied the intelligence reports on the Krell. They were a species that had evolved from pack hunters on their homeworld. They had been in space for over 200 years, longer than humans. They had conquered several other species already. "They think they're attacking a helpless target," Susan said quietly to Commander Howard. "They have no idea what's coming for them. Back in the Viridian system, the Horizon moved carefully toward the planet where the Altheans were under attack. Captain Lisa Monroe watched the main view screen with growing anger as more Krell ships landed troops on the surface. "Captain," said Beth Palmer from her sensor station, "I found a large group of Althean survivors in an underground shelter. The Krell are getting close to them." Lisa made her decision. "Ryan, take us into orbit. Jack, send a message to the Althean shelter. Tell them help is coming from Earth, but they need to hold on. Beth, target the Krell ground forces near the shelter. Fire when ready." The Horizon moved swiftly into orbit and fired its limited weapons at the Krell forces on the ground. The shots were accurate, hitting the Krell tanks and troop carriers. The aliens scattered in surprise, not expecting an attack from space. "We've bought them some time," Lisa said, "but the Krell ships will notice us soon." "Captain," Jack called out urgently, "I'm getting a response from the Althean shelter. Audio only." "Put it through," Lisa ordered. A tired but grateful voice filled the bridge. "Earth vessel, this is Elder Zoril of the Altheans. Thank you for your help. We have many wounded here, including children. The Krell attacked without warning or a reason. Elder Zoril, we've sent word to Earth. A full military response is on the way. Can you hold out until then?" "We will try," the Elder replied. "But our shields are failing. If the Krell find us—" Lisa looked at her crew, seeing determination in their eyes. "We'll do everything we can to protect you." Suddenly, alarm sounded across the bridge. "Captain," Beth called out, "3 Krell warships have broken off from the main group. They're heading toward us." The Horizon was no match for 3 Krell warships. Lisa knew this, but she also knew she couldn't abandon the Altheans. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," she ordered. "Target their weapon systems if you can get a clear shot. Jack, keep broadcasting our position and situation to Earth Command. They need to know exactly what's happening here." As the Krell ships closed in, Lisa stood firm on her bridge. "Whatever happens next, remember that we're doing the right thing." The Altheans called for help and humanity answered. The first Krell ship fired, and the Horizon shook as the shot grazed their shields. The diplomatic vessel fired back, scoring a hit but doing little damage to the larger warship. "Shields at 60%, reported Commander Peters. Lisa gripped her chair as the ship shook again. "Keep firing, help is coming, we just need to last long enough for—" Jack interrupted, excitement in his voice. "Captain! New ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. They're human ships, 5 of them led by the carrier Destiny." A new voice came over the communication system. "This is Captain Samantha Powell of the Earth Fleet, carrier Destiny to the EDV Horizon. Hang on, Captain Monroe, the cavalry has arrived." Lisa smiled as relief washed over her. "Right on time, Captain Powell. The SOS that brought humanity's full-scale military response." Captain Lisa Monroe rubbed her tired eyes as she sat in her command chair on the bridge of the Earth diplomatic vessel Horizon. The ship had been on patrol duty along the edge of human space for 3 weeks. It was boring work but necessary. New alien races were being discovered all the time, and humanity needed to show a friendly but strong presence. "Captain, we're picking up a signal," said Lieutenant Jack Wilson from his communication station. His voice was tense, which caught Lisa's attention immediately. "What kind of signal?" she asked, sitting up straighter. "It's a distress call, very urgent." Jack's fingers moved quickly across his control panel. "It's coming from the Viridian system." Lisa frowned. The Viridian system was home to the Altheans, a peaceful alien race that had welcomed humans with open arms when they first met last year. The Altheans were known for their beautiful art and deep thinking. They had no real weapons or warships. They had never needed them. "Play the message," Lisa ordered. The sound that filled the bridge was broken and full of static, but the fear in the voice was clear. "This is Central Colony of Althea. We are under attack. No warning. Many civilians dead. Please help us. Anyone. The attackers are destroying everything." The message cut off in a burst of static. The bridge was silent for a moment. "Yeah, dear." "We get it back?" Lisa asked. Jack shook his head. "No, Captain, that's all there is." Lisa stood up and walked to the main view screen. Show me the Viridian system. The screen changed to show a map of stars. The Viridian system was highlighted, in red, showing it was in danger. How long would it take us to reach them? At top speed, about 6 hours, replied the ship's pilot, Ryan Green. Lisa nodded slowly. The Horizon was mainly a diplomatic ship. It had some weapons, but it wasn't built for war. If the Altheans were under attack by a powerful enemy, the Horizon alone might not be able to help much, but they couldn't just ignore the call. Commander Alan Peters, her second-in-command, stepped closer. Captain, the rules say we should call Earth Command first before going into another species' territory during a fight. Lisa looked at him. I know the rules, Commander, and I'm going to follow them, but I'm also going to help those people. She turned to Jack. Send a message to Earth Command. Include the distress call and all our sensor readings. Tell them we're moving to check out the situation. Yes, Captain, Jack replied, already typing the message. Lisa turned to Ryan. Set course. For the Viridian system, maximum speed. Course set, Captain. Engage. The Horizon turned smoothly in space and then shot forward, its engines glowing bright blue as it accelerated to top speed. Lisa returned to her chair, thinking hard. The Altheans were gentle beings who had shared their advanced medical knowledge with humans freely. Their medicines had already saved thousands of human lives. They were not just allies on paper, they were friends. What do we know about the Viridian system's defenses? She asked. Commander Peters brought up a report on his tablet. Not much to know, Captain. The Altheans have a few small ships that help with trade and science. They have some basic shields around their main colonies. Nothing that would stop a serious attack. And who would attack them? They have no enemies that we know of. There are always those who see kindness as weakness, Peters said grimly. 6 hours later, the Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Viridian system. They were still far enough away to observe without being easily spotted. Scan the system, Lisa ordered. The bridge crew worked quickly, gathering data from the ship's sensors. Captain, called out the sensor officer, Beth Palmer. I'm detecting multiple ships around the third planet, the main Althean colony world. They're not Althean designs. Show me, Lisa said. The main screen changed to show a magnified view of the planet. Around it were at least 20 ships, dark and sharp-looking, with designs that reminded Lisa of predatory animals from Earth. As they watched, one of the ships fired a bright beam at the planet's surface. A moment later, they could see a flash of light from the planet. They're bombing the surface, Beth said quietly. Can you identify those ships? Lisa asked, her voice tight with anger. Jack worked at his station for a minute. According to our database, they match known designs of the Krell Dominion. The Krell? Lisa had heard of them. A species from a system about 30 light-years from Earth. Humans had limited contact with them, mostly through trading with the same alien markets. What was known about them wasn't good. They were aggressive and believed that stronger species had the right to take from weaker ones. Get me a closer look at what's happening on the planet, Lisa ordered. The screen changed again, zooming in on the planet's surface. They could see fires burning across what had once been beautiful Althean cities. Small ships were landing and figures were moving on the ground. They're not just bombing, Commander Peters said. They're invading. Lisa's hands gripped the arms of her chair. Jack, send another message to Earth Command, Priority 1. Include all our scans and visual data. The Altheans are under full attack by the Krell Dominion. They're bombing cities and landing ground forces. Request immediate military response. Sending now, Captain. Lisa stood up again, unable to sit still, as she watched the destruction happening on the screen. How long until Earth Command receives our message? About 2 hours at this distance, Jack replied. Lisa nodded. 2 hours for the message to reach Earth. Then time for Earth's leaders to decide what to do. Then time to gather forces and send them. The Altheans might not have that much time. Captain, Beth called out suddenly. I'm detecting Althean life signs gathered in a shielded underground structure near what was the main city. The shield is failing, and there are Krell forces moving toward it. Lisa made her decision. Ryan, take us in closer but keep us hidden as best you can. Jack, prepare a message capsule with all our data in case we don't make it out. Beth, arm all weapons. We may not be a warship, but we're still going to help those people. As the horizon moved deeper into the system, none of the crew realized that their messages to Earth would trigger the largest military response in human history. They only knew that friends had called for help, and they would not be abandoned. The SOS that brought humanity's full-scale military response. Part 4 Major Nicole Adams ducked as enemy fire hit the wall above her head. Pieces of the broken Althean building fell around her. She had been on the ground for less than 6 hours, but it felt much longer. Her squad of Marines was spread out in a defensive line around a group of Althean civilians they had rescued from a collapsed shelter. "Simmons, what's our status?" she called to her second-in-command. Sergeant Eric Simmons crawled over to her position, keeping his head low. "Not good, Major. The Krell have us surrounded on 3 sides. We've got about 30 Althean civilians, with us including 12 children. Many of them are hurt and need medical care." Nicole nodded. The Krell forces on the ground had been ordered to retreat by their commander, but not all of them were following those orders. Some had decided to cause as much damage as possible before leaving. Her squad had found this group of Altheans trapped in a damaged building with Krell soldiers closing in. "What about our communications?" she asked. "Still being jammed in this area," Eric replied. "I can't reach command or the dropships." Nicole checked her weapon's power level. It was down to 30%. They had been fighting non-stop since landing. The Krell ground troops were tough opponents. They wore heavy armor and carried powerful energy weapons. They were also well-trained and disciplined. One of the Altheans approached them. He was older, with blue skin that had faded to a pale gray with age. His hands were shaking. "Human soldiers," he said in a soft voice. "We are grateful for your help, but you should leave us. Save yourselves. We do not wish for you to die protecting us." Nicole looked at the alien. The Altheans were a gentle species. They were tall and thin, with 4-fingered hands and large eyes that could see in very low light. They were known for their art, music, and deep thinking. They had never developed weapons because they had no wars on their world. "That's not how we do things," Nicole told him firmly. "We're not leaving anyone behind." She turned to Eric. "We need to move. The longer we stay here, the more Krell will find us. Is there another route to the evacuation point?" Eric pulled up a map on his wrist computer. "There's a tunnel system under the city. The entrance is about 100 meters from here. If we can reach it, we might be able to move everyone safely." Nicole nodded. "That's our best option. Get everyone ready to move. We'll need to create a diversion." As her squad prepared the civilians for movement, Nicole took 3 soldiers to set up the diversion. They placed small explosive charges on a building across the street. "On my mark," she said, into her comm. 3, 2, 1, mark! The explosives went off with a loud bang. As the Krell soldiers turned toward the noise, Nicole's squad moved quickly, helping the Althean civilians across the open area to the tunnel entrance. They had almost made it when a Krell patrol spotted them. Energy blasts hit the ground around them, sending up sprays of dirt and stone. "Get them inside," Nicole shouted, turning to fire back at the Krell. Her weapon's shots hit one of the alien soldiers, piercing his armor. He fell with a cry. The last civilian made it into the tunnel just as Nicole's weapon power hit 0. She drew her sidearm, a simple projectile weapon that didn't rely on power cells. "Major," Eric called from the tunnel entrance. "We need to go. Now!" Nicole fired a few more shots to keep the Krell heads down, then ran for the tunnel. A blast of energy hit her left arm, burning through her armor. She cried out in pain but kept running. Eric grabbed her and pulled her into the tunnel as more Krell fire hit the entrance. They sealed the heavy door behind them. In the dim emergency lighting of the tunnel, Nicole checked her arm. The wound was painful but not too deep. "Let me help," said a soft voice. One of the Althean civilians stepped forward. He was younger than the elder with darker blue skin. "I am a healer." As the Althean treated her arm with a strange-smelling paste that immediately eased the pain, Nicole looked at the group they had rescued. They were tired and scared, but there was something else in their eyes now, hope. Thank you, the Althean healer said as he finished wrapping her arm. My name is Laren. We did not know if anyone would answer our call for help. The Krell attacked without warning. We had no defenses. That's why we're here, Nicole replied. No one should have to face something like this alone. Suddenly, Eric's comm unit crackled to life. We're out of the jamming zone, he said with relief. Major, I'll try to contact command. He spoke into his comm, giving their position and situation. After a moment, he turned to Nicole with a smile. Reinforcements are on the way. Dropships are inbound to our position. There's a larger tunnel exit 2 kilometers from here that they can land near. Nicole nodded. Let's move out. We're not safe yet. They moved through the tunnels helping the injured Altheans. Some of the children were too tired to walk, so the Marines carried them. Despite their own exhaustion, not one soldier complained. Above ground, the battle continued. Human fighters controlled the skies now, driving away the remaining Krell ships. More human troops were landing all across the planet, securing areas and helping the Altheans. Lieutenant Andy Rivera piloted his dropship low over the surface, avoiding debris from the fighting. He had been flying non-stop for hours, bringing in troops and taking out wounded. This is Valkyrie 1, he reported into his comm. I'm approaching the tunnel exit point. ETA 3 minutes. Copy that, Valkyrie 1, came the response. Be advised, we're detecting Krell troops in that area. Proceed with caution. Andy checked his weapon systems. The dropship was well armed, designed to provide cover for troops on the ground. Roger that. I'll deal with any resistance. As he approached the tunnel exit, his sensors picked up a group of Krell soldiers setting up a heavy weapon. They were clearly planning to ambush anyone coming out of the tunnel. Not today, Andy muttered, locking his weapons on their position. This is Valkyrie 1, beginning attack run. His dropship swooped down, guns blazing. The Krell scattered as the ground around them exploded. The heavy weapon was destroyed before they could use it. Tunnel exit is clear, Andy reported. Landing now. In the tunnels, Nicole's group heard the sound of weapons fire above them, then silence. Her comm unit activated. Major Adams, this is Valkyrie 1. The area is secure. I'm landed and waiting. For you. Copy that, Valkyrie 1. We're almost there. They reached the exit and climbed up to the surface. Andy's dropship was waiting, its ramp down. Marines stood guard around it. Everyone aboard, Nicole ordered, helping the civilians onto the ship. The elder Althean paused before boarding. He looked at Nicole with his large eyes. Why? He asked simply. Why did you come? We are not your kind. Our worlds barely know each other. Nicole's expression was serious. Because you asked for help. That's all humanity needed to know. The elder nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his eyes. We will remember this. For as long as our people exist, we will remember that when darkness came for us, humanity stood by our side. As the dropship lifted off, carrying them to safety, Nicole looked out the window at the planet below. Human ships were landing everywhere, bringing help and protection. In the distance, she could see the glow of fires still burning, but also the lights of human vessels working to put them out. The Krell had made a serious mistake. They had seen the Altheans as weak because they were peaceful. They hadn't understood that peace was a choice, not a weakness, and they certainly hadn't expected that a simple call for help would bring the full military might of humanity across the stars. As the dropship docked with a larger transport ship in orbit, Nicole knew that this battle was far from over. The Krell would not easily accept defeat. But humanity had shown them something important today. In this vast, often cruel galaxy, some species still believed in protecting the innocent, no matter the cost. And the Krell were about to learn just how far humanity would go to keep that promise. The SOS that brought humanity's full-scale military response. Part 5. 3 weeks had passed since the first human ships arrived in the Viridian system. What had started as a rescue mission had grown into the largest military operation in humanity's space history. The main Earth fleet had arrived in waves, bringing more ships, troops, and supplies each time. Admiral Susan Grant stood on the bridge of the Defiance, Earth's newest and most powerful warship. Through the large viewports, she could see dozens of human vessels moving in careful formation around the Althean homeworld. Fighter craft patrolled in organized groups while medical and supply ships made regular trips to and from the surface. "Status report," she requested. Commander Ben Howard approached with a data tablet. "The Krell forces are in full retreat across all fronts. Their remaining ships have gathered around their flagship at the edge of the system. Our ground forces have secured all major Althean settlements. Medical teams report over 10,000 Althean civilians rescued and treated." Susan nodded, satisfaction visible on her face. "And our losses?" Ben's expression grew more somber. 3 ships destroyed, 7 more damaged but repairable, 112 personnel confirmed dead, another 200 wounded. Susan closed her eyes briefly. Each loss hurt, but she knew the cost would have been much higher if they had not responded so quickly and decisively. "The Althean government representatives are ready to speak with you, Admiral," reported Lieutenant Kelly Davis from her communications station. "Put them through to the conference room," Susan ordered. "Commander Howard, you're with me." In the free conference room, a group of Althean leaders waited. Elder Zorl stood at their center. His blue skin still showed signs of injury, but his large eyes were bright with gratitude. "Admiral Grant." He greeted her with a traditional Althean bow, hands crossed over his chest. "On behalf of all Altheans, I thank you and your people for what you have done. Without your help, our species might have been destroyed." Susan returned the gesture. "Your thanks are appreciated, Elder Zorl, but unnecessary. When friends call for help, we answer. That's what allies do." "We had signed a trade agreement," Zorl said. "But we never expected such a response. The Krell are still a threat, hovering at the edge of our system. They have conquered many worlds before. They may return when you leave." Susan smiled slightly. "Who said anything about leaving? The Earth government has authorized the establishment of a permanent defense station in the Viridian system. A garrison of ships and troops will remain to ensure the Krell or anyone else think twice before attacking again." The Althean leaders looked at each other in surprise and relief. "You would do this for us?" Zorl asked. "We protect our friends," Susan said simply. "But there's something else. We need to discuss. The Krell commander is requesting terms." As if on cue, Lieutenant Davis's voice came through the room's speakers. "Admiral, Commander Vrektar is calling again. He insists on speaking with you." "Put him through," Susan ordered. The large screen on the wall activated, showing the Krell commander. Despite his attempt to appear strong, Vrektar's posture showed his defeat. His ship was damaged, his forces scattered or destroyed. "Human Admiral," he began, "you have fought with unexpected skill and ferocity. The Krell Dominion offers you terms for withdrawal." Susan's expression hardened. "You misunderstand the situation, Commander. You attacked a peaceful species who were under our protection. You are not in a position to offer terms. You are here to receive them." Vrektar's eyes widened in anger. "This is outrageous. The Krell Dominion has conquered 12 systems. We will not be dictated to by humans." Susan finished for him. "A species you dismissed as insignificant. Your intelligence failure has cost you dearly. Here are our terms. Immediate withdrawal from Althean space, reparations for the damage caused, and a formal treaty recognizing Althean independence and their alliance with Earth." "And if we refuse?" Susan's voice was calm, but carried unmistakable strength. "Then you will witness what humanity is truly capable of when provoked. You've seen only our first response, Commander, not our full capacity." The threat hung in the air between them. Vrektar looked away first. "I will consult with my government," he said finally. "You have 24 hours, Susan replied before ending the transmission. Elder Zoral had watched the exchange with amazement. "You speak to him as if you hold all the power. The Krell are feared across many systems. Perhaps they should have considered that before attacking a friend of humanity," Susan said. She turned to Commander Howard. "Have all ships maintain combat readiness. I doubt the Krell will try anything, but let's not take chances." On the planet below, Captain Lisa Monroe of the Horizon walked through what remained of an Althean city. Her diplomatic vessel had been repaired enough to be operational, but she had chosen to stay and help with the recovery efforts. Buildings that had once been elegant and beautiful were now damaged or destroyed. But among the ruins, she could see signs of hope. Human engineers worked alongside Althean builders, clearing debris and planning reconstruction. Medical teams treated the injured, while supply ships brought food and clean water. Captain Monroe. Lisa turned to see Lieutenant Jack Wilson approaching. "The Althean children from the northern shelter are asking for you. They want to thank you personally." Lisa smiled and followed Jack to a makeshift school that had been set up in an undamaged building. As she entered, a group of young Altheans rushed toward her, their blue skin vibrant with youth and their large eyes full of curiosity. "Is it true?" one of them asked. "Did you hear our call from far away and come to help us?" Lisa knelt down to be at their level. "Yes, we did, and we always will." "Why?" another child asked. "The Krell said no one would help us because we are weak." Lisa's expression grew serious. "The Krell were wrong. Strength isn't about having the biggest weapons or conquering others. True strength is standing up for those who need help, even when it's difficult or dangerous." The children considered this, then one of them stepped forward and offered her a small hand-drawn picture. It showed human and Althean figures standing together under a starry sky. "We made this for you," the child said. "To remember." Lisa accepted the gift with a genuine smile. "I don't think any of us will forget." 20 hours later, the Krell commander sent his response. They accepted all of Earth's terms. As their ships prepared to leave the system, Admiral Grant watched from the bridge of the Defiance. "They're really going," Commander Howard said, sounding almost surprised. "They're smart enough to recognize when they're outmatched," Susan replied. "But this won't be the end. The galaxy is learning something important today. Humanity will not stand by while innocent lives are threatened. The Krell made a serious miscalculation when they thought they could attack the Altheans without consequences." "Because the Altheans are our trading partners?" Howard asked. Susan shook her head. "Because they called for help and we answered. It's that simple." In the following months, as reconstruction began on the Althean worlds, word spread throughout the galaxy of how a single distress call had unleashed the full might of humanity's military response. Other aggressive species reconsidered their expansion plans. Peaceful races sought alliances with Earth, and the Krell Dominion signed the most comprehensive peace treaty in their history. The Altheans honored their human defenders with a monument in their capital city. It was a simple structure, but its meaning was clear. It showed a human hand and an Althean hand clasped together, and beneath it, inscribed in both languages, were the words, "When darkness came, they answered our call." Humanity stands with the Altheans now and always. But perhaps the most significant change was invisible. Throughout the galaxy, on countless worlds and ships, communication officers added a new priority protocol to their systems. If all else fails, if danger threatens and hope seems lost, send a distress call to Earth. Because when humanity hears a cry for help, they come. And when they come, they bring everything they have. That was the lesson the galaxy learned from a single SOS. And it would not be forgotten. The SOS that brought humanity's full-scale military response. Part 3 Krell Commander Vrektar stood tall on the bridge of his flagship, watching with satisfaction as his forces attacked the Althean world. The weak aliens were running and hiding, instead of fighting back. It was almost too easy. "Another city has fallen, Commander," reported his second-in-command. "Our ground troops have secured the main government buildings." Vrektar nodded. "Any sign of resistance?" "Nothing significant. A few Altheans tried to use their farming tools as weapons." The officer laughed. "They were quickly dealt with. As expected, begin the next phase. I want their mineral deposits secured by—" "Commander!" The sensor officer interrupted, his voice sharp with alarm. "Multiple ships have just entered the system." Vrektar turned with a growl. "Althean reinforcements?" "No, Commander, these are different. Larger, military grade. They appear to be human vessels." "Humans?" Frektar's eyes narrowed. He had heard of this species. They were relative newcomers to space travel, having achieved faster-than-light capabilities only 50 years ago. Their territory was not close to Krell space. What are they doing here? Before anyone could answer, the communications officer called out, "We're receiving a transmission from the lead human ship." "Put it through," Brektar ordered. The main screen changed to show a human female in a dark uniform with silver markings of rank. "This is Captain Samantha Powell of the Earth Fleet Carrier Destiny to Krell forces. You are attacking a peaceful species under Earth's protection. Cease your assault immediately and withdraw from this system, or we will take action." Brektar laughed loudly. "A human female dares to give orders to a Krell commander? Your species is too young to understand how the galaxy works. The strong take what they want. The Altheans are weak, so they lose. It is the natural order." Captain Powell's expression didn't change. "You have 10 minutes to begin withdrawal." The screen went dark. Brektar turned to his crew. "What threat could these humans possibly pose? How many ships do they have?" "5 vessels, Commander. One appears to be a carrier class." Brektar waved a dismissive hand. "We have 23 warships. Continue the attack on the Altheans. Send 6 ships to deal with these humans. That should be more than enough." As 6 Krell warships moved to intercept the human fleet, Captain Powell stood calmly on the bridge of the Destiny. "All ships, combat deployment," she ordered. "Fighters launch immediately. Target the Krell vessels attacking civilian structures first." Across the human fleet, pilots rushed to their fighters. Lieutenant Kevin Martinez climbed into the cockpit of his fighter, excitement and nervousness mixing in his stomach. This would be his first real combat mission. "Raptor Squadron, form up on me," he called as his fighter shot from the Destiny's launch bay. "Remember your training. These aren't simulations anymore." The space around the human fleet suddenly filled with hundreds of small, fast fighter craft. They moved in perfect formation, heading straight for the approaching Krell ships. On the horizon, Captain Lisa Monroe watched in amazement as the fighters swarmed past her ship. "I've never seen so many fighters launched at once," Commander Peters said beside her. Lisa nodded. "The Destiny is our newest carrier. It can hold over 200 fighter craft." The Krell had never faced anything like it. Their ships were powerful but slow, designed to fight other large vessels. The human fighters were small, fast, and incredibly maneuverable. They darted around the Krell ships, their weapons targeting engines, weapon systems, and communication arrays with surgical precision. Lieutenant Martinez led his squadron in a tight formation, diving toward one of the larger Krell ships. "Target their main weapons," he ordered. 3, 2, 1, fire!" The fighters released their missiles simultaneously. The explosions ripped across the Krell ship's hull, destroying its main gun batteries. Meanwhile, the larger human vessels moved into position. Unlike the Krell ships, which relied on brute force, human warships were designed with flexibility in mind. They could adapt their tactics quickly, based on the situation. Captain Powell watched the battle unfold on her tactical display. "The Krell are trying to regroup," she noted. "Have blue and green squadrons cut them off. Red squadron provide cover for the horizon. They've taken damage." The fighters responded immediately, shifting their formations to carry out the new orders. On his flagship, Brektar watched in growing horror as one after another of his ships reported critical damage. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They're just small fighters." "Commander," his sensor officer called out, voice shaking. "More human ships have just entered the system. A lot more." Brektar rushed to the sensor display. Sure enough, at the edge of the system, space seemed to tear open as a second wave of human ships arrived. The reinforcements were led by a massive vessel, easily twice the size of his flagship. This was supposed to be an easy conquest," Brektar said, his confidence crumbling. His communications officer turned from his station. "Commander, we're receiving messages from our ground forces. They're under attack as well. The humans have landed troops near the main Althean shelter." Brektar slammed his fist on the console. How did they respond so quickly, and with such force? The Altheans are nothing to them. They're not even the same species. "Sir," His second-in-command said carefully, "Perhaps we should consider a tactical withdrawal. We can return with more ships once we better understand these humans and their capabilities." Frector wanted to argue, but the tactical display told the truth. Already 3 of his ships had been completely disabled. The fighters were now targeting his other vessels, including ships that hadn't even joined the attack on the humans yet. "Send the order," he said finally. "All ships to disengage and prepare for faster-than-light jump. Ground forces are to fall back to extraction points." As the Krell forces began their retreat, Captain Powell directed her ships to protect the Althean settlements. She also sent a message to the horizon. "Captain Monroe, this is Powell. Are you and your crew all right?" Lisa responded immediately. "We've taken some damage, but we're operational. Thank you for the timely rescue." "Just doing our job," Powell replied with a small smile. "The first wave of the main fleet has just arrived. Admiral Grant sends her regards and says the rest of FWO. The response force will be here within 48 hours. On the planet below, the Altheans watched in wonder as human dropships landed near their shelters. Soldiers in combat armor rushed out, setting up defensive positions and medical stations. Elder Zoral of the Altheans approached one of the human officers. "You came," he said simply, his voice filled with emotion. "When we sent out our call for help, we didn't know if anyone would answer." Major Nicole Adams, leader of the first ground team, smiled at the alien elder. "That's not how humanity works, Elder Zoral. When someone calls for help, we answer. Always." As the human forces secured the area around the Althean shelter, Lieutenant Martinez flew a patrol above in his fighter. He watched as the Krell ships retreated from the system one by one. "Raptor leader to Destiny," he reported. "The Krell are running. Looks like they didn't expect us to fight back so hard." "Good work, Raptor leader," Captain Powell's voice came back. "Return to base for refueling. We still have a lot of work to do." As he turned his fighter back toward the Destiny, Kevin looked down at the planet below. He could see the fires still burning in the Althean cities, but also the lights of human vessels landing to help. His chest swelled with pride. The Krell had thought they could attack a peaceful race without consequences. They had never expected that a distress call would bring humanity's full military might across the stars. They had learned a valuable lesson today, one that would soon spread throughout the galaxy. When the innocent call for help, humanity answers. And when humanity goes to war, they hold nothing back.